Hey friends, good to see you, Pan. Today we're looking at permanent decisions made during very temporary moments of confidence.
Some tattoos age like fine wine. Others age like a banana left in a sauna. 1. The barcode of shame. A man thought he was ahead of his time in the early 2000s when he tattooed a barcode on the back of his neck, a symbol of individuality against consumerism. The irony? He chose the barcode from a can of Monster energy drink. For years, people at grocery stores thought it was funny to scan his neck, until one day an actual self-checkout machine beeped. He swears it wasn't supposed to ring up at 1.49, but fate clearly had jokes. He now tells people it's a commentary on capitalism. But let's be honest, it's just capitalism's receipt for owning him permanently. 2. The ex that time forgot nothing says eternal love, like inking someone's name across your ribs in cursive that screams, "will last forever," except forever lasted 6 weeks. After a particularly messy breakup, one woman decided to repurpose her ex's name, turning Kevin into Never. The problem? The artist didn't quite nail the spacing. So now her torso reads K-Ver, which sounds less like heartbreak and more like a failed IKEA product line. She claims it's empowering, a reminder never to repeat mistakes. But deep down, every new date who asks, "Who's Kevin?" knows exactly how permanent regret looks in Helvetica. 3. The spelling bee disaster. You'd think before permanently etching words on your body, you'd at least double-check the spelling. One guy didn't. He proudly strutted into a tattoo shop to declare his undying commitment to no regrets. But the artist, perhaps distracted or simply a philosopher, wrote no regrets. The internet had a field day when the photo went viral, turning him into a meme before the ink even healed. He tried to fix it, but the cover-up artist decided to lean in, transforming the regrets into regrets about spelling. It's the kind of recursive irony that could only happen to someone who probably didn't regret much until that day. 4. The McTattoo misfire. Some people ink profound quotes. Others get the McDonald's receipt from their favorite order. In 2014, a Norwegian teen proudly tattooed his McDouble fries and Coke receipt on his arm after losing a dare. He claimed it was a reminder of good times. Those good times lasted about a week, until McDonald's changed their menu and prices, making his tattoo not just embarrassing, but outdated. Imagine explaining to future grandkids that your arm's covered in evidence of poor dietary choices and worse decision-making. Years later, he tried to spin it as conceptual art about consumer culture. Nice try, Picasso. It's still a $7.49 combo meal permanently branded on your flesh. Somewhere, Ronald McDonald is laughing in fluorescent clown paint, and the golden arches have never looked more like a warning sign. 5. The GPS of regret. One man thought it'd be poetic to tattoo the GPS coordinates of his hometown, a symbol of knowing where I come from. Unfortunately, he didn't realize coordinates use decimal degrees, not whatever Google shows first. The result? Instead of marking his birthplace in Ohio, he immortalized a random cornfield in Kansas. When friends asked about it, he doubled down, saying, "It's symbolic, like where we all come from, man." Yeah, sure. The Great Plains of bad decisions. Years later, he tried to fix it, but the correction only made the numbers look like a Wi-Fi password. Now every time someone asks, "Where's that lead?" he just says, "Straight to regret." He wanted a tattoo about roots and identity, and accidentally created a national treasure for cartographers everywhere. 6. The translator's trap. The classic foreign language tattoo. The ultimate trap for people who trust Google translate more than actual native speakers. One woman wanted the phrase strength and courage in Chinese characters. What she got instead translated roughly to noodle power. When a restaurant worker finally broke the news, she claimed she meant it metaphorically. Sure, because nothing says empowerment like carbs. She later added a small dragon around it to balance the energy, but the dragon looked more like a lizard doing yoga. It's the international symbol of linguistic overconfidence. Moral of the story? If you can't order it correctly at a takeout place, maybe don't tattoo it forever. 7. The DIY disaster. Some people go to professionals, others think, how hard can tattooing be? Enter one man and his $30 Amazon tattoo kit. His goal? A majestic lion. The result? something that looked like Garfield melting in the sun. He tried to justify it by saying he wanted it to look raw and primal. It was definitely raw, mostly because it got infected. After a week of antibiotics and regret, he covered it with another DIY tattoo, a cross. Unfortunately, the infection distorted the lines, so now it looks like a crooked plus sign. He learned 2 lessons: don't tattoo yourself, and definitely don't trust YouTube tutorials from a guy named Inklord420. 8. The drunken declaration: alcohol and permanent decisions go together like oil and fire. Entertaining to watch, catastrophic to clean up. A bachelor party in Vegas ended with one man waking up to find YOLO Forever inked across his forearm in Comic Sans. The worst part? He already had Carpe Diem on his other arm. Together they form the motivational equivalent of a middle-aged crisis bumper sticker. When asked why he did it, he said, "It felt deep at the time." Of course it did. Tequila has a way of making stupidity sound philosophical. Now, every time he goes to the gym or a business meeting, he has to explain why his arm looks like it's trying to inspire a frat house. 9. The celebrity signature catastrophe. One woman was so obsessed with Justin Bieber that she had his signature tattooed on her wrist after a meet and greet. Problem? It wasn't actually his signature. It was her friend's forged version used as a prank. Years later, she found out when she showed it to Bieber himself, who politely said, "That's not my autograph." The moment went viral, and so did her humiliation. She tried to fix it by adding "Yow fake but faithful" underneath, turning her wrist into a pop culture confession. Now it's less a tribute and more a cautionary tale. Never trust your friend with a Sharpie, especially if you're planning to make it eternal. 10. The mistranslated motivation. A college sophomore wanted to commemorate his favorite quote, "Live without limits." Unfortunately, he trusted an online Latin translator that spit out "Vivo sine bordello." It looked exotic, powerful, until a Latin professor pointed out it actually meant "I live without a brothel." The kid panicked, rushed to a tattoo parlor, and tried to fix it by turning bordello into bordem, which doesn't exist in Latin, by the way. Now his arm proudly reads something like, "I live without whatever." When asked, he claims it's a philosophical statement about freedom and mystery. But everyone who's ever taken a semester of Latin knows it's just a public service announcement about proofreading. To make things worse, his mom saw it at Thanksgiving and just said, "Well, at least it's accurate. You do live without one." 11. The temporary that wasn't a group of spring breakers went to a sketchy tattoo shop offering semi-permanent ink. One woman, emboldened by margaritas and peer pressure, chose a tiny mustache finger tattoo. You know, for those funny selfies. The artist nodded, charged half price, and swore it would fade in a month. 10 years later, it hasn't faded an inch. The mustache now lives on as a permanent reminder of her poor life choices and late-night confidence. Every job interview, wedding, and formal event, there it is, smirking back from her index finger like a bad decision with ink. She's tried lasers, cover-ups, even makeup, but it always reappears, mocking her like a tiny ghost of tequila past. They say youth fades. Apparently her mustache doesn't. 12. The missed milestone. A proud dad wanted to celebrate his daughter's birth with her name and birth date inked on his chest. Touching, right? Except he got the date wrong, by a full year. His excuse? The nurse was yelling a lot. For 5 years no one noticed, until his daughter learned to read and innocently asked, "Daddy, who was born in 2018? Now he's stuck explaining to people that his commemorative tattoo honors a child that doesn't exist. His wife calls it a tribute to almost paying attention. He thought about fixing it, but the cover-up artist warned that changing an 8 to a 9 would look like a ransom note. So he left it, a permanent monument to the power of not double-checking paperwork or birth certificates. 13. The accidental advertisement. A woman wanted the logo of her favorite band, Queen, but her tattoo artist misheard and thought she said Burger King. When she looked in the mirror, there it was, a perfectly detailed crown with the words Burger King Forever. Instead of removing it, she leaned in, posing with whoppers on Instagram and claiming it was ironic art. The internet loved it. Burger King's marketing team even offered her free meals for life. So technically, her worst tattoo became the best sponsorship deal of all time. She says it's proof that mistakes can turn into blessings. But every concert she goes to, people still yell, "Where's your fries, Your Majesty?" Turns out, royalty's expensive, unless it's fast food royalty, in which case, it's hilarious. 14. The portrait problem. He wanted a tattoo of his late grandmother's face, a heartfelt tribute to a woman who raised him. He brought in a blurry 3x5 photo and said, "Just make it look real." The artist did his best, but the result looked less like Grandma and more like Danny DeVito in a bonnet. The family didn't have the heart to tell him, so now, every Thanksgiving, they politely compliment the nice shading. When he finally realized, he tried to fix it by adding angel wings, which only made it worse. Now, Grandma DeVito looks like a cherub from a nightmare. The moral? If your tribute tattoo looks like it's about to star in It's Always Sunny in Heaven, maybe don't cheap out on the artist. 15. The comic book crisis. A die-hard comic fan wanted to tattoo his favorite superhero logo, Superman's iconic S. Except the artist flipped the stencil upside down, turning it into something that looked suspiciously like a dollar sign in a diamond. When friends pointed it out, he insisted it was a metaphor for capitalism's corruption of heroism. Sure, buddy. He later tried to fix it, with some red and blue shading, but that just made it look like a patriotic stock market logo. He now tells people it's a limited edition design from an alternate universe. The only thing alternate is his reality, where tattoos come with footnotes and damage control. At least he can say he's the only person in history whose Superman logo stands for S is for sorry. 16. The matching breakup. Couples who tattoo together often regret together. One pair decided to get matching puzzle piece tattoos that would fit perfectly when they held hands. Adorable, right? Until they broke up 6 weeks later over who left the dishes in the sink. Now he's got half a heart on his wrist that matches a woman who blocks him on every platform, and she's got the other half attached to a guy she pretends never existed. He tried to turn his piece into a Batman logo, but everyone still notices the oddly romantic curves. She turned hers into a butterfly, except now the wings look suspiciously like the sides of his initials. Somewhere out there, two failed lovers are walking around with matching reminders that permanent ink lasts way longer than temporary emotions. It's not a love story. It's a cautionary tale for anyone who thinks tattoos are cheaper than therapy. 17. The mirror mishap. A motivational quote can be powerful, unless it's backward. A fitness influencer decided to tattoo "Never Give Up" on her shoulder, but wanted it to face the mirror so she could read it while working out. Genius idea. Unfortunately, now everyone else sees it reversed, like something straight out of The Shining. Fans constantly comment things like, "What's Pooh Evig Revan mean?" Instead of admitting the mistake, she doubled down, saying it's symbolic, motivation for me, confusion for others. Yeah, sure, that's deep. Every mirror selfie looks fine, but in real life, she's permanently branded with what looks like an exorcism spell. Moral of the story: if your inspiration only makes sense in reflection, maybe your decision-making needs a spotter. 18. The sports betrayal. One die-hard fan wanted to prove eternal loyalty to his favorite team, the Cleveland Browns. He inked their logo across his back, complete with Super Bowl champs 2019. Bold, considering the Browns didn't even make the playoffs that year. When the team lost, his tattoo went from optimistic to delusional in record time. People started pointing and asking, "Alternate universe?" He eventually tried to add the phrase "one day," but the spacing turned it into Super Bowl Champs 1, which sounds like a knockoff video game. He still insists it's about faith. Others call it the sports equivalent of a participation trophy. Hope is great, but maybe next time, wait until the confetti actually falls before permanently joining the parade. 19. The Grandma's Revenge. A rebellious teen got "no regrets" tattooed across his chest. To shock his strict grandmother, she didn't yell, she laughed. 2 weeks later, she showed up at Thanksgiving with her own temporary tattoo that said, "One big regret, you." The family nearly choked on the mashed potatoes. To make matters worse, when his tattoo started to fade unevenly, it began to read "no regrets," which somehow looked both dumb and sophisticated, like a failed perfume brand. He tried to get it lasered off, but Grandma insisted he keep it, as a lesson in spelling and stupidity. Years later, he admits she was right. The ink faded, but her smug smile never will. 20. The optical illusion. A guy thought it would be cool to get eyes tattooed on the back of his head, to see everything. Except the artist misjudged the symmetry, so one eye looks terrified and the other mildly disinterested. Kids stare, dogs bark, and every haircut turns into a horror movie. He claims it's a statement about perception, but really, it's a statement about not checking the stencil. Once, a barber accidentally shaved one eyebrow off the tattoo, making it look like a confused cartoon character. He thought about laser removal, but admits he enjoys the reactions too much. Some people want to be seen, he'll settle for haunting people instead. 21. The brand loyalty. Nightmare brand tattoos are already risky, but this guy went all in, getting a giant Pepsi logo on his calf after winning a local contest. He was supposed to get a year's supply of free soda. What he got was diabetes' phone number and a lifetime of side eyes. The promo ended after 3 months, but the ink didn't. When Pepsi's logo changed, his leg became retro by accident, and not the cool kind. Now it looks like a vintage sticker from a gas station fridge in 1987. He jokes that at least it's timeless, but everyone knows it's just a walking ad for bad choices. Somewhere, a Coca-Cola fan sees him and whispers, "Enemy spotted." 22. The misspelled memorial. A woman wanted to honor her late father with a touching tattoo that said, "You're my hero," except her artist, whether sleepy or illiterate, wrote, "You're my hero." Grammar ghosts everywhere cried. When her English teacher aunt saw it, she said, "He might forgive you, but I can't." The woman tried to fix it by adding a small heart between the words. Now it reads, "You're my hero," which makes her arm look like a Valentine's Day card written by a confused third grader. She swears it's about sentiment, not syntax. But every time someone points it out, she mutters, "He'd love me anyway." True, but her dad probably would have told her to proofread first. 23. The vegan revelation. A proud vegan decided to make his beliefs permanent with a bold chest tattoo reading "Vegan for Life." The problem? He got it done at a biker shop during a blackout, and the artist spelled it "Vegan for Life." Now his torso looks less like activism, and more like a confusing biology term. He tried explaining it as a creative twist, but everyone just assumes he lost a bet. To fix it, he added a small carrot and leaf motif underneath, which somehow makes it worse, like a failed grocery logo. He's since gone back to eating cheese, so the irony is now complete. The tattoo no longer represents his diet. It represents a moment of extreme confidence mixed with poor lighting. Every time someone asks, "What's a vegan?" he just sighs and says, "A mistake with tofu energy." 24. The political disaster. One man wanted to prove his eternal devotion to his favorite politician by tattooing their smiling face on his forearm. 2 years later, that same politician got arrested for tax evasion. Overnight, the tattoo went from patriotic to tragic. People kept asking if it was satire. He tried to salvage it by adding sunglasses and a quote bubble that said, "Stay honest." But it just looked like a mugshot with captions. Eventually, he turned it into a pirate, complete with an eye patch and a parrot. Now his arm is less American hero and more budget Halloween. He tells people it's a lesson in impermanence, but deep down, he knows it's just the world's most expensive political sticker. 25. The inspirational typo motivational tattoos are great, unless the motivation comes with a typo. One woman wanted, "Courage doesn't always roar." Unfortunately, her tattoo artist gave her, "Courage doesn't always road." For years, she swore it was intentional, a metaphor about life being a journey. But the internet disagreed, turning her arm into a viral meme titled "Misspelling with Confidence." She eventually got the road fixed, but now the "doesn't" looks like "does it," leaving her with "Courage does it always roar." Somewhere, a motivational speaker is crying. Still, she insists the tattoo evolves with meaning. Sure, but so does autocorrect, and it would have saved $300. 26. The fast food fiasco. A guy thought it'd be hilarious to get a full-back tattoo of Colonel Sanders holding a chicken nugget. What he didn't realize was that KFC doesn't sell nuggets. That's McDonald's territory. Internet commenters noticed immediately, and he became an online legend nicknamed McColonel. To make it worse, the artist made the chicken look like it was screaming. The result? A horrifying mascot for fast food nightmares. When asked why he did it, he just shrugged and said, "I was hungry." Years later, the tattoo faded. But the meme lives on, proof that mixing brands and booze never ends well. 27. The free spirit fail. A woman wanted to express her independence with a script tattoo saying "wild and free." Unfortunately, the artist wrote "mild and free," and she didn't notice until it healed. Friends started calling her decaf energy, and it stuck. Instead of removing it, she leaned in, getting a matching mug tattoo underneath that says "caffeine optional." Now she's the accidental mascot for Lazy Rebellion. Her motto went from fearless adventure to nap enthusiast, and honestly, it suits her. She says she's finally embraced her mildness. Somewhere out there, a wild biker reads it and quietly sips his tea in respect. 28. The Google Translate Guru. A traveler wanted to get "Adventure Awaits" tattooed in Japanese before visiting Tokyo. Instead, Google Translate handed him "Caution, wet floor." Locals stared, confused, as he strutted around proudly displaying what looked like a janitorial warning. A kind restaurant owner eventually broke the news and gave him a free bowl of ramen out of pity. He's since become a legend in Tokyo's tattoo scene as Mr. Wet Floor, even inspiring a local meme. He tried to cover it with a mountain scene, but the Japanese characters still peek through like subtitles for bad decisions. Moral: never trust Google Translate with your epidermis. 29. The celebrity trend victim. When everyone started getting minimalist infinity symbol tattoos, one influencer decided to go bigger, an infinity sign made of roses on her hip. It was beautiful for about 2 months, until the shading faded and it started looking like a sideways pretzel. Fans asked why she had a carb logo on her body, and she panicked, rebranding it as an homage to growth and snacks. She's now the unofficial face of infinite hunger memes online. She insists she loves it, but rumor has it she's saving up for a croissant tattoo on the other side for balance. At least she's consistent, in both theme and bad decisions. 30. The misheard masterpiece. A guy asked for a tattoo of the phrase "born to ride," a tribute to his biker dad. The artist, working through heavy metal blaring in the shop, misheard and inked "corn to ride." Now his arm looks like a Midwestern farmer's slogan. He tried to fix it by adding a motorcycle wheel, but that only made it look like a stalk of corn doing a burnout. His friends call him Colonel Fury. He's tried to own it, claiming it's about embracing your roots, but deep down, he knows he's one husk away from humiliation. If tattoos tell a story, his says, I misunderstood the assignment permanently. 31. The spiritual awakening. That misspelled itself. A yoga instructor wanted to embody inner peace and connection, so she got the Sanskrit word for enlightenment tattooed across her spine. Unfortunately, her tattoo artist learned Sanskrit from Pinterest. Instead of moksha, in a spiritual liberation, he inked moksha, which translates roughly to butter dish. Now every yoga class begins with whispers of namaste and butter. When a visiting monk pointed it out during a retreat, she panicked, claiming it was symbolic of nourishment for the soul. Sure, but it's hard to achieve transcendence when your back literally says butter bowl. She tried to fix it, but the spacing made the correction look like moksha, as if her spine is asking a philosophical question. Today, she leans into it. Her studio slogan? Find your butter balance. If enlightenment is about acceptance, she might actually be the most enlightened of all. 32. The anatomy class dropout. Determined to prove his love for science, a self-proclaimed biology bro decided to tattoo the human heart in perfect anatomical accuracy. He brought a diagram to the artist, who nodded confidently and tattooed the stomach. Right shape, wrong organ. Now his chest proudly displays the world's most detailed digestive system in 4K realism. When people compliment the heart piece, he just smiles awkwardly and changes the subject. A nurse once pointed it out at a beach party, and the entire lifeguard stand laughed for 10 minutes straight. He claims it's a metaphor. The stomach is the heart of hunger, but everyone knows it's just a reminder that he skipped anatomy class for Call of Duty. He thought he was getting medical accuracy. Instead, he got permanent indigestion. 33. The alien abduction tribute. A man obsessed with UFOs wanted to commemorate what he swore was an alien encounter in 1994. His vision, a beam of light pulling him toward the stars. The reality, a green blob abducting what looks suspiciously like a potato. The artist insisted it was stylized. Unfortunately, stylized turned into drunk Pixar fan art. He doubled down, adding sparkles and planets later, which only made it look like a children's cartoon about produce. Conspiracy forums mocked him relentlessly. Eventually, he tried to rebrand it as symbolic of higher consciousness, but most people just call it Toy Story 5, the Idaho incident. On the bright side, it's now his conversation starter at every bar, though most women assume he just really loves mashed potatoes. 34. The Disney disaster. A nostalgic dad decided to get his favorite Disney character tattooed to bond with his kids, Mickey Mouse holding a balloon. The problem? The tattoo artist's mouse looked like Mickey's distant cousin who lost a fight with a lawnmower. The ears weren't circles, they were triangles. The eyes were uneven. The balloon? It looked like a kidney. When he showed it to his kids, they cried. Even Disneyland security would probably ask him to cover up. He tried to salvage it by adding text, "Happiness is timeless," but the P was smudged, turning it into "Happiness is timeless." Now it's less Disney magic, more fever dream. His wife calls it the Mickey incident. And the family rule is simple. Dad keeps his shirt on during vacations. 35. The romantic equation gone wrong. A math teacher wanted to celebrate her passion for numbers with a tattoo of Einstein's famous equation, E=mc2. Except the artist flipped the C and squared the wrong term, making it read E=m2c. Physicists online had a collective meltdown. Her students found out and started calling her Professor Wrongstein. She insists it's artistic interpretation, but every time she lectures on accuracy, someone snickers. When she tried to get it fixed, the artist told her, "Math isn't my strong suit." No kidding. Now she uses it as a life lesson, a visual aid for why proofreading saves both homework and forearms. She may have failed physics, but she aced irony. 36. The tattoo that betrayed the band. In high school, one kid loved the band Linkin Park so much he tattooed their logo across his forearm, except he spelled it Lincoln Park. Now his arm looks like a civic sign for a quiet Illinois suburb. When the band broke up, he tried to claim it was actually about community pride, but no one believed him. At concerts, people ask which Linkin Park he's from. Chicago? Michigan? He just says the emotional one. Years later, he added trees and benches around the logo to make it look intentional. Now it's a full landscape scene that screams Midwestern tourism. If tattoos tell stories, his tells one about passion, poor spelling, and the power of denial. 37. The optical illusion of confidence. A gym bro wanted a tattoo that made his muscles pop. He asked for bold tribal lines across his biceps. Classic move. Except he didn't realize that when he flexed, the design warped. What looked like fierce geometric strength at rest became a squiggly spaghetti noodle mid-curl. His friends call it the stretch mark of confidence. He insists it symbolizes movement, but really, it symbolizes regret. The worst part? He switched gyms to avoid mockery, only to find out one of the trainers there used his arm as a cautionary example for symmetry. Every time he flexes, it looks like his tattoo is begging for mercy. It's proof that sometimes body art doesn't age with muscle mass, it just surrenders to it. 38. The Barcode of Destiny 2.0. One tech guy decided barcodes were the future of tattoos, minimalistic, modern, and scannable art. He got one inked on his wrist that supposedly linked to his personal website. In theory, cool. In practice, tragic. The ink bled slightly during healing, turning the barcode lines into digital nonsense. Now, whenever someone scans it, their phone opens random URLs. Once, it even led to a recipe for banana bread. He tried to fix it with laser correction, but now it links to nothing at all, just a blank 404 error. The irony? His actual job title is software engineer. Friends say his tattoo perfectly sums up his career. Good ideas, terrible execution. These days, he jokes that it's his identity theft prevention system. Somewhere, a hacker's crying, not from laughter, but from pure secondhand embarrassment. 39. The astronomical mistake. An amateur astrologer got a full solar system tattoo on her back to represent cosmic harmony. She even labeled each planet with elegant script. Unfortunately, she forgot one, Uranus. Her tattoo artist noticed, but didn't want to be the one to awkwardly suggest adding it. When someone finally pointed it out, she said, "I wanted it subtle." Now her cosmic masterpiece is known as the Solar System of Denial. To make things worse, she placed Jupiter inside Saturn's rings and labeled Pluto as not a planet. Sorry. Astronomers online turned her back into a meme titled Flat Universe Theorist. She now teaches astrology classes where her tattoo serves as a lesson in imperfection. Sure, but mostly it's a reminder that space might be infinite, but proofreading is not. 40. The deep quote. That wasn't a guy wanted to honor his favorite movie with a quote from The Shawshank Redemption. His memory failed him. Instead of "get busy living" or "get busy dying," his tattoo reads, "get busy leaving" or "get busy drying." The result sounds less like a life motto and more like laundry instructions. His friends roast him daily, asking if he's spin cycling his destiny. He tried to play it off as intentional. It's about cleansing the soul. Right. A year later, a woman at the gym asked if he owned a laundromat. He said yes, just to avoid explaining. He's since embraced the joke, calling it the cleanest mistake I ever made. The tattoo community calls it something else, the spin cycle of stupidity. 41. The family crest catastrophe. One man wanted to honor his Irish roots by tattooing his family crest. He Googled it, printed the first image, and handed it to the artist. Problem? It wasn't his family's crest. It was a logo from an Irish pub in Boston. For years, he proudly showed it off, thinking it symbolized heritage. Then he visited Dublin, where a bartender said, "Nice logo, mate. 2 for 1 happy hour." Turns out the pub owners found his photo and use it for marketing now. He's unknowingly become their unofficial brand ambassador. His family mocks him by calling him Sir Guinness of Draft. The tattoo might not represent lineage, but it does represent his most ancient tradition, drinking and not reading fine print. 42. The horror movie tribute gone wrong. A horror fan wanted a tribute sleeve of his favorite slasher villains, Jason, Freddy, and Michael Myers. But his artist misjudged proportions. Jason's mask looked like a dinner plate, Freddy's glove resembled oven mitts, and Michael Myers looked oddly like Nicolas Cage. Now his terrifying arm art looks more like a bizarre cooking show hosted by nightmares. At conventions, fans ask why he has Chef Jason and Bakemaster Freddy. He tried to justify it by adding flames and blood, but that just made it look like a barbecue accident. He still loves it though. Says it's a unique interpretation. Unique? Yes. Scary? Only to people who hate proportion and common sense. 43. The unfortunate placement problem. A woman wanted to tattoo a majestic phoenix rising from ashes, a symbol of rebirth. She chose her lower back for a touch of mystery. Unfortunately, the final design looked less like a phoenix and more like a flaming chicken escaping a barbecue. She didn't realize how bad it looked until a friend at the pool asked, "Why do you have KFC on fire?" Now, it's legendary among her friends as the Hot Wings Incident. She tried to reclaim it, saying it symbolizes rebirth through humor, but deep down, she knows she'll never live it down. Ironically, her tattoo artist has it framed in his studio as a learning example. If tattoos are forever, so is this roast chicken of destiny. 44. The gamer's shame. A proud gamer got the phrase, "No respawn, no regret," tattooed across his forearm, a bold statement about living life like a video game. Unfortunately, he misspelled respawn as respoon. Now his arm proudly reads like a romantic kitchen motto. When his mom saw it, she assumed it was about his cooking hobby and bought him matching spoons for Christmas. His gamer friends never let it go. They greet him with, "Respoon, brother," every time he logs on. He planned to fix it, but the tattoo went viral first, earning him the nickname Master Chef of Regret. Moral of the story: proofread before you press start, or your next achievement will be Culinary Disaster Level 1. 45. The minimalist misfire. Minimalist tattoos are supposed to be subtle, classy, timeless. Unless your artist forgets, minimalism doesn't mean unfinished. One man asked for a simple outline of a mountain range on his ankle. What he got looked like an EKG reading after a triple espresso. He posted it proudly online, only to have commenters ask if it symbolized heart problems. Desperate to save face, he added a tiny sun above it, which only made it look like an awkward doodle from math class. When people complimented, he just says, "Yeah, it's abstract," the universal phrase for "it didn't turn out right." He wanted the spirit of adventure. Instead, he got the pulse of panic. 46. The unlucky charm. A guy decided to tattoo a 4-leaf clover on his neck for luck. Within a week, he lost his wallet, got a flat tire, and spilled coffee on a cop. His friends started calling it the curse leaf. Turns out, the artist accidentally drew a 3-leaf clover, the regular unlucky kind. He went back to fix it, but the added leaf looked like an afterthought, turning his lucky charm into what resembles radioactive spinach. Now, every St. Patrick's Day, strangers rub his neck for luck and he just mutters, "It didn't work for me." Maybe next time he'll tattoo something actually lucky, like return to sender. 47. The pet portrait panic. A woman wanted to immortalize her beloved pug, Winston. The artist, bless his heart, tried. But what ended up on her calf looked less like a pug and more like a mutant potato with anxiety. Its eyes were uneven, its nose resembled a bean, and its wrinkles looked like topographical lines. When she posted it online, people said it looked like a baked potato mid-exorcism. She cried at first, then leaned in, renaming it Haunted Winston. Now it's internet famous, with its own fan page and Halloween costume. Winston may be gone, but his potato doppelganger lives forever, proof that sometimes love really is blind. 48. The full circle of regret. One man got a giant yin-yang tattoo on his back to represent balance and peace. But the artist misaligned the halves, leaving the dots off-center. Now, instead of cosmic harmony, it looks like two fish fighting over a bean. He calls it the chaos of balance, but everyone else calls it the Oreo of despair. He considered removing it, but realized the mistake perfectly. Symbolized his life, almost centered, mostly chaotic, and oddly snack-like. It's the perfect finale to humanity's art of self-inflicted irony, inked forever in bold, beautiful, eternal regret. So, which tattoo wins the crown of eternal stupidity? Comment your favorite disaster. And maybe double-check your spelling first.
Like it fast, don't let it end hard. Hit subscribe, think ends.